South Point, Ka Lae, Kamaoa Wind Farm, Green Sand Beach, Kaulana Boat Ramp, Ka Lae Heiau. Haunting, windswept, wild, empty, beautiful. Imagine the gratitude and wonder of the first Polynesians who, after voyaging at sea without sight of land for more than a month, finally made land here at Ka Lae. This sweeping landscape arches open and inviting from the tumultuous shorebreak at Ka Lae to the icy heights of Mauna Loa summit, almost 14,000 feet above. South Point is the farthest point south in the entire United States, not Key West, Florida, as some guidebooks claim. The road to Ka Lae from the Hawaii Belt Road is infamous, but has been greatly improved in recent years, although it's still only one lane wide in many places. Even today, some rental agencies admonish you not to take their cars down this road. Relax, the road is fine, although blind turns and hills command your attention and should curb your desire to speed. Also, all the roads, beaches, boat launchings, and facilities and parking are free and public, despite what some signs and unsavory characters might try to tell you. Just don't leave valuables in your car and be sure to lock it up. There is no visitor center contrary to the sign. Along the road to Ka Lae are the brooding and dilapidated wind turbines of the Kamaoa Wind Farm. This wind farm, when all the turbines are operating, can generate enough electricity to power 100 homes. Unfortunately, usually 1/3 to 1/2 of the turbines are out of service at any given time. The surreal setting on the green plain with the cows grazing lazily, coupled with the eerie sci-fi sound of the generators, makes this a unique place to stop, look, and listen. At South Point proper are a number of dilapidated structures and foundation ruins. The Army had a barracks here during World War II. The paved road was built in 1955. During the 60s, the Navy built a missile tracking station, which the Air Force later took over and renamed South Point Air Force Station, which closed in 1978.
Polynesian pioneers who first reached South Point routinely made incredible voyages that put European seafaring and exploration of a millennia later to shame. More than 1,000 years before Columbus, in tiny, twin-hulled canoes made entirely of carved wood lashed together, using no nails or wooden pegs, and employing sails made of tree bark, Polynesians embarked on voyages that were thousands of miles farther than those of Christopher Columbus, and without the aid of a compass or charts with which to navigate. Using stars, currents, patterns of migration of the birds and fish, patterns in the waves, water temperature, and the color of the undersides of clouds, these explorers navigated, explored, sailed, and paddled all across the Pacific, spreading their culture, language, and peoples at a time when the Roman Empire was crumbling and centuries before the age of Vikings. It is thought that voyagers from the Marquesas first landed on Hawaii at South Point quite early in the 4th century AD. Certainly the earliest archaeological artifacts found anywhere in the Hawaiian Islands are found here. At Ka Lae, the Polynesians established a thriving colony based upon the incredibly rich fishing grounds just offshore. The colony was connected to the rest of Polynesia by trade routes to the southern islands, and regular trade and travel between the Marquesas, the Marshalls, and Tahiti continued for centuries. Evidence of their colony can be found at Ka Lae Heiau, just northeast of the light tower at the South Point. The small but extremely well-preserved Ka Lae Heiau is classified as a ko'a, or fishing shrine, to the god Ka'ula. Just below the shrine and in the rocks to the west, one can find grooves and holes cut into the rock. These are attachment and guide points for anchor lines for ancient fishing canoes. The currents at Ka Lae are so strong and flow uninterrupted to Antarctica. The Hawaiians could not fish and keep their canoes from being driven away simultaneously, so they fed ropes secured to the rocks out to the canoes to keep them from drifting away with the currents while fishing. Like most animists, Hawaiians invested worship and respect and intuited spiritual power in a range of natural objects and phenomena: rain, volcanic eruptions, the sea, sharks, freshwater springs, the surf, and rocks, among many others. Pohaku Okane, or sacred rocks, were among the most common spiritual objects of worship, whether they were naturally occurring in the landscape, Pohakua Ialoa, or set on platforms, Pohaku Amakua, or carved, Pohaku Iki. Ka Lae Heiau has numerous examples of the former two. On the main platform outside the heiau is a Pohaku Amakua referred to as Kumaea, which means female. On the smaller stone terrace just north is another standing stone associated with the god Ka Loa and referred to as Kanemakua, or male. Inside the heiau wall is a stone called Ku'ula, after the patron god of fishermen. North of the structure stands Mauna Loa, named for a navigational star, and Ai. South is Wahine Hele, or place from where the women leave. Examples of Pohaku ia Loa include the Pohaku Va'akauhi, literally canoe by the shrubs, right at the shoreline, which was used to focus meditations before long canoe journeys, and Pohaku Okeau, or stone of currents, which stands offshore. The name Pohaku Okeau reflects the Hawaiian belief that the stones would turn over when there was a political change in the government.
Snorkeling. The waters at South Point are wild, crystalline, turquoise, and wicked. It is obvious from the surf and the currents that swimming is right out along most of this coastline. However, in a few protected areas by the boat hoists, there is reportedly safe snorkeling close to the cliffs and only when the sea is calm. Hardy spear fishermen with masks and fins tether themselves with ropes to the steel ladders on the cliffside. This is obviously risky for the casual snorkeler. The only recommended snorkeling is at the Ka Lae boat launch, and then only in calm seas. But it is beautiful, perhaps as beautiful and wild a spot to snorkel as anywhere in Hawaii. Hike to Green Sand Beach. Absolutely unique to the island of Hawaii, beautiful and strange are the handful of green sand beaches composed of crystals of semi-precious mineral olivine, also known as peridot. The green sand beach at South Point is the best known, largest, and most accessible of these. The sand grains on this beach are formed from olivine crystals weathering out of the lava and cinders from the cone over an eruptive vent that has been partially breached by the sea. The beach lies in the remnant of the cinder cone. This somewhat protected cove makes for a wonderful swimming, snorkeling spot. Be very wary of currents and do not go out far, nor in at all, if the surf is high or there are strong winds. The bizarre color of the water shrieks for color photographs, particularly underwater photographs taken while snorkeling. To go there, turn left on a signed, patchy paved, and dirt road immediately when you arrive at the Ka Lae area, following signs to the Ka Lae boat launch. Proceed down the road and park just to the left, south, of the Ka Lae boat launch, where there is a dirt road that leads to the green sand beach. There is a gate a quarter-mile down this road. The gate is almost always locked, and the road primarily provides access for hiking, ATVs, or mountain biking. Private vehicles are prohibited. Hiking distance is 2¼ miles each way along rolling tropical prairie, and if you cannot envision this, you really need to do this hike. Despite the multiplicity of dirt roads, you really cannot get lost as you are never out of sight of the shore. When you reach the end of the trail, you are 100 or so feet above the beach on the rim of the remnant of the crater. Look closely for the faint track to scramble safely and easily to the beach. There is occasionally a blue trash barrel to mark this spot, but always there's a cairn of rocks. There is one sort of tricky spot where you have to inch your way over a 3-foot ledge, but almost anybody from senior to child can negotiate the hike to this beach. One can always easily scramble down from the middle, easternmost, of the cone, but this can be slippery. Although tricky to spot on the way down, from the beach looking up, the way back to the crater rim is easy to follow. No services. At all. None. And a goodly long way to drive to get to any. Plan and act accordingly.